Hi, and welcome to this video on positive intelligence. We wanted to give you some feedback from our graduates so that you could experience a peer advisory pod yourself. To do this, I'd like to introduce the 6 graduates. First is Lynn, who's a VP in education. Then we have Park, who is a serial entrepreneur. We have Steve, also a vice president in healthcare. We have Kenny here, who truly is a real rock star. And we have Toby, who's a senior vice president in aerospace. I'm Kevin Gazzara, and I am the leadership coach for this Positive Intelligence Pod. I wanted to provide answers from our graduates to the 6 common questions people have about entering the Positive Intelligence program. What was the biggest surprise and discovery you received from the program? How has your PQ strength helped you in your professional and personal life? How has your PQ strength helped others in your professional and personal life? What was the easiest and hardest concept to grasp and put into practice? How quickly did you notice a change in your positive intelligence? And how were you able to use the weekly bonus leadership lectures concepts? This is something that I provide in my pods, connecting the positive intelligence concepts to leadership to try to make it applicable in your day-to-day work life. What was the biggest surprise and discovery you received from the program?
My biggest surprise in the Positive Intelligence program are these simple little PQs that literally take you 10 seconds to do it when you feel triggered. And my first thought is it can't possibly work. It's too simple, but it's a compounding effect. And the more I did them, the more I found that I could regain control of my sage and get rid of my saboteurs. And I think that's my number one biggest surprise. Simple, easy, but you just got to do them over and over again.
I think the biggest surprise for me was twofold. Coming into this expecting to go through a learning experience on how to improve and be better, but walking away with getting that, but in addition, finding 4 new amazing friends to go through a journey that I wouldn't have otherwise expected to find. And the second is that knowing and seeing that eclectic group of folks, this program was able to reach them in a different way each week, but in a manner that has changed each person's respective lives.
How has your PQ strength helped you in your personal and professional life?
What I noticed, I'm usually very up, but what I was hearing was even more. I was like, really? Are they really noticing a difference? I was hearing more, like multiple times during the day, God, you're so positive. You're so up. So maybe this brought me to another level.
So I would say that I'm more sensitized now when people are judging me or I find myself begin to judge others. And I found that I was more passionate about this topic, that knowing that I had passion before, but I'm much more passionate about it having the information from this class.
One, anytime I find myself into a moment of despair or challenge, I'm able to crawl back out of it much more quickly. As I'm able to have hope and know right away that regardless of the circumstance, there's a reason for it and there's some tools available to get out of it more quickly.
In my professional world, I teach storytelling for a business. And at the heart of that is understanding and empathizing with your audience. But I did not realize how little understanding and empathy I have for me, which just leads to me beating myself up all the time over things.
How has your PQ strength helped others in your professional and personal life?
I was able to take it back to the organization that I lead and the people that I mentor and walk them through some of the same exercises myself as well. has allowed me to not only solve some of my own challenges, but to reach some of the people that I'm mentoring and growing much earlier in their lives than I found this program, and enable them to hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls that I've fought through my career as well.
You train yourself how to quiet your mind, and that became so easy and something that I looked forward to, believe it or not, each morning when it was quiet at the house, and I would go find a chair and I would sit down, I would do it. It was the greatest way to start my day. So that was probably the most positive thing that I had experienced.
What was the easiest and hardest concept to grasp and put into practice?
The biggest thing for me in this program was that app. I thought it was just brilliantly designed and really easy to use, and I've always got it right there to remind me of what to do and to log my progress. The hardest thing to do was I would get on a roll with this stuff and find that it was really working, and then I would show up one day and not have all the stress of my saboteurs and not do my friggin' PQs, which after a day or two, you start getting flabby, and they would come back and haunt the hell out of me, and I'd have to go, oh, I got to do it again. So it's just keeping in that practice.
There's no shortcuts. You got to put in the time. You got to read the book. You've got to do the PQ reps. You got to take the pod. You got to hang out with your pod members. The whole thing, the lectures, all of it together. I don't think there's a shortcut to it all. It's just do it all. Just be consistent and do it all.
How quickly did you notice a change in your positive intelligence?
First time I took it, I was at 35%. And then the next time I took it, like at the end of the course, it was 71. What helped accelerate it was just putting things into practice. Like I said in that meeting, I tried to be curious instead of judgmental. I tried to not avoid things. I tried to deal with things. I think if you keep putting it into practice, then, it helps that you accelerate.
For me, I noticed a difference beginning in the first week, but about week 4 was when I noticed a very remarkable difference overall, and continued to accelerate even in the weeks after the class. I think that there's probably 2 things that helped me accelerate the most, and one was the amazing group of PODmates that I had, and the willingness for us to quickly establish the trust to be able to share with each other what we were going through, and seeing that built up. And that happened very early based upon some, I think, intentional conversations between the team. And the second thing, I will give credit to Kevin, the discussions up front about how maybe this might not be something that you might expect to work, or it might be something that seems a little out there. So it worked for me, and I think it'll work for you. And when I took that advice and left all of my preconceived ideas about a program like this at the door, and walked in day one with the belief that, okay, this worked for someone else I know that's a little bit wired like me, it has a chance to work for me as well. And by eliminating the need to overcome that it won't work, it worked a lot faster. So even if it's outside of your comfort zone, even if it's something you don't normally do, if you leave those behind and start with a little bit of trust that it can work, it'll make a remarkable difference in how much quicker the impact comes. But even despite all of that, this was potentially sincerely life-changing. And I've got a group of life-changing friends behind that too.
I agree with that. I was blown away by how open everybody is in this group. That was really rewarding. That's where the pod group really, how we benefit individually from the pod group, because everybody in this group showed some vulnerability. It was great. You didn't feel alone.
How were you able to use the weekly bonus leadership lectures concepts?
I think one of the reasons that courses like this often fail is it's all theoretical. And then you're left after the course is over to go hope that you apply something afterwards and see what happens. And 80% of that's left by the wayside. The intersection of reality on a weekly basis and the business application in a practical manner to the things we were learning during that same week from the book, and focusing it more directly on that week's practice itself, gave the perfect environment where you absorbed what you had and actually applied it and did it. And there's nothing better about taking something you've learned to make it permanent than doing it. That framework allowed us to do that on a weekly basis.
Well, I think you definitely need more than just meeting once a week for an hour as a pod to actually get to know each other and also put into practice, as everyone said. I don't think we would have what we have if we only did it once a week.
People have to know that they're going to get the most value if they put the work in. And the last thing is, really, we need to keep putting the work in going forward. Just like Toby said, it's like reading a book or getting a course. It's how you apply it into your life afterwards is where you get the value. That's where you get the value.
I think for me, the thing I would tell people is this: no matter where you're at in your career or your life, this program will impact you in a way that you will not expect it. It'll impact everybody. And the more you think you don't need this program, the more you probably do.
I hope you enjoyed the insight from our 5 pod members about their experience. If you're interested in joining one of our monthly pods, please visit our website at www.pqtrainingandcoaching.com or reach out to me directly at kevin@magnaleadership.com. Thanks for watching. Bye now.